So I guess we can call this another one of my collection videos, because we're just going to be going through a bunch of my DVDs and Blu-rays. Top shelf here is TV shows, and also movies based on TV shows go in that section too, because I feel like, if I'm going to watch the Powerpuff Girls movie, I'm going to look for it under Powerpuff Girls, even though it's not in that set. Same with Tales from the Crypt. If I want to watch one of the movies, which are right here, I'd want to go there to look for them. And that's even going to include the one not based on the TV show, because I would just look for it there. Also, just realized Tales from the Dark Side was in the wrong spot. I don't have a single episode of Tales from the Dark Side, but I would probably look under Tales from the Crypt for that one too. I have watched Tales from the Dark Side, the TV series. It's alright. Movie's a lot better. I highly actually recommend Tales from the Dark Side, the movie. Speaking of movies, that is what's down here. These are the movies. And yes, shows based on movies end up in this little spot. We'll get to one of those in a little second in case you don't believe those kind of things exist. Down here, which you can't see, it's out of frame, there's a two-shelf thing. On the top is my Criterion collections. I usually look at Criterion Collection films in a series on my main channel, and probably around the same day that this goes public will be the newest in that series, which will be me looking at Criterion-approved movies that are based on stage plays, theatrical plays. And yes, I said go public, as in there's a Patreon. Go support the Patreon, you get videos early. A day early, a week early, a month early, it's whatever I feel like. And then just below that, we have movies that are in 4K that I own. I don't know many TV shows that are in 4K. Theoretically, they would go down there too, because that's the 4K section. Will I eventually change it up and have those things not really separated and just kind of with everything else? Probably. I'm just trying to figure out a system because now I have too many things. And over there, which I'll get different footage of it so you guys can understand, I have a turning shelf, which one face of it is a lot of stuff. It happens to all be animation right now. That is in separate categories of directors and studios. I have a Ralph Bakshi section because I have almost every single Ralph Bakshi film. Praise me. I have a Studio Ghibli section because I have pretty much all the Studio Ghibli steelbooks that came out except for Spirited Away and Kiki's Delivery Service, because I already have copies of those, so I was fine not getting the steelbooks for those ones. I have the Disney Renaissance, just the Renaissance, because I don't really have many other Disney films, and if I was going to put Disney all together on one shelf, I'd put like the animated stuff and the live action stuff. On my main channel, I have a series where I look at every single Disney thing, so it shouldn't surprise you if you're aware that I'm also the guy who does that. That I would look at Disney as a whole and not just the animated stuff by itself. No, like if I had like Swiss Family Robinson, I would probably put it there too. We have a Blue Sky section, Blue Sky Studios, which were forcibly shut down a little bit ago. It won't be a long shelf, but I also just picked up these Studio Leica films, so they might have to go over there now, just because even though it's only 4 films, it's the whole catalog.
You will probably correct me in the comments anyways. Yes, I am missing one because Shout Factory has yet to do a Blu-ray for Missing Link. I also thought that was an Aardman film and forgot about it anyway.
I've seen Coraline and Paranorman before. I mentioned in my main channel video of my review for The Nightmare Before Christmas, Coraline's my favorite stop-motion film. And I've seen Paranorman before. Paranorman's very good. I have not seen these two because I heard Box Trolls is... I don't know if I've heard it's awful, but I've heard it's not great. And I heard Kubo is fantastic, but like hardly anyone saw it. And that includes me. Oops. And then another wall of that shelf is a mixture of Dragon Ball, Pokemon, and Digimon. So all of the animes I associate with my personal childhood. One day they'll just have like whole entire separate shelves to those distinct franchises, because I also, get the video games, the mangas, and all that kind of stuff. But for right now, it's a separate little thing for their DVDs and Blu-rays, so I have a spot for them. Then another side is holiday stuff. It's mostly Christmas, but I also put Halloween stuff in there. There's one whole Easter movie in there. Whoa, stand back, I'm trying real hard here. And while I mostly like that stuff is there, The last wall is what I eventually want the whole entire thing to become, which is compilations. It's cartoon compilations, as in, classic old cartoons and like little sets. So, stuff like old Forgotten Looney Tunes, Van Buren stuff, any old cartoons. And I think one day the plan is, again, to have all four sides do it. And to help with that, I'm also going to expand it to just any kind of compilation set thing. Like, you know how when you have 3 movies, and they're all sequels, so they're in one pack, I wouldn't count that? Say, like... Ooh, where is it? Say like RoboCop here. I wouldn't count that. This is all 3 RoboCop films, but I would look under RoboCop for this. I can just leave it under RoboCop. But then you get to the Mel Brooks collection, and you have to look for this under Brooks. So it's like, oh, that probably should actually go there. It would make too much sense. And if that was the only one I had, I probably wouldn't make the rule, but I have a set of Harlequin romance movies right here, so those would probably fit, as in made-for-TV movies based on Harlequin romance novels, if you're familiar with those. And I have this really lovely set here, which is Sergio Leone westerns. And yes, these 3 are a trilogy, but then these 2 are the part of another trilogy, because for some reason, Once Upon a Time in America isn't a western, so it's not in this set. And I feel like I would probably only look for it over there. And it really also states how maybe one day I won't have a Criterion shelf, because I have the Scorsese shorts, and yeah, wouldn't that fit better in compilations? Alright, so now we can actually just look at some random stuff here. Let's do TV shows first, because I really want to talk about this. All Dogs Go to Heaven. You know it, you love it, maybe you don't love it, too bad, I've decided that you love it. And you know how there was also an All Dogs Go to Heaven 2. Both films are on Blu-ray right here. But where's All Dogs Go to Heaven 3? I swear there was an All Dogs Go to Heaven 3. It was a musical, it had, they were all musicals. It was a musical, Christmas was involved, Carface finally learned the error of his ways, and there was that weird Belladonna chick. They should have introduced her ahead of time in, the previous movie. They did, my good sir, or madam, or whatever you are. All Dogs Go to Heaven, the series.
People say it's quite a way to heaven, many miles beyond a distant star.
One day I want to look at All Dogs Go to Heaven as a franchise, as a whole, because this show is weird. Is it bad? The first season's a bit rough. It's odd, but it picks itself up in season 2. It's not a wonderful show or anything, but if you have an attachment to these characters, which you probably do after the first and second film, there is something here that I think is great. I want to talk about this in depth one day, again, with the franchise. But yeah, this was the finale to the TV show. That is why it's not on Blu-ray. Even though there are some sets that are just 3 All Dogs movies together on DVD, which again is so confusing. Because you had to watch that and just be okay that there's a villain that you were supposed to know of ahead of time.
Hey, my 2 hottest dogs. Just the guys I've been looking for.
Nice threads, Annabelle. New tailor?
I'm undercover. So, you flea taxis up for another mission?
If you're giving us a choice, I'd rather be gnawing bones.
It's like when people jump into Dragon Ball Z without watching original Dragon Ball. Who's this Goku fella? Who's this Krillin person? Who's this Bulma person? I guess it's okay to not have any establishment. What do you mean there was 150 episodes before episode 1? Let's just see if I have any movies that are interesting to talk about besides those few sets that I already showed you. This might shock you to hear this revolutionary thing. The Godfather's really good.
I believe in America. America has made my fortune.
Godfather is definitely one of those films that you hear about and people are like, one of the greatest of all time. And I've definitely fallen for that trap before where I watch and be like, yeah, this is pretty good, but I was expecting so much more. The Godfather is interesting because the first time I watched it, I was like barely 18, and I was like, oh, they were messing around. This is incredible. There's a new set out for these right now, which is 4K. So all the films in 4K, and you even get the new recut called The Godfather Coda, which is not for 1, not for 2. This is specifically a cut for 3. So if you didn't like The Godfather 3, which a lot of people didn't, it's an okay movie. I saw it once. It's okay. Then maybe it's your thing. I didn't watch this yet. And it's in the 4K set now, so what's the point? Be wary. I heard it's great. The packaging looks exactly like a brand new reissue for a regular Blu-ray set. I'm sure they did it on purpose to trick people into having to buy it twice. So just pay real close attention, because they put 4K at the top in like probably this big of print, but the covers are identical other than that. So be very careful. Don't go, well, the 4K versions are only $25 now. They're not. They do go on sale, like, pretty decently, because physical media just goes on sale a lot now. But be wary. It's very possible they will go down $25 on a sale sometime. But not right now. That's just the regular Blu-rays. To talk about underrated films for a second, Hudsucker.
Hang it up to dry. What's your pleasure, buddy? 44. 44, the top brass floor. Say, buddy, what takes 50 years to get up to the top floor and 30 seconds to get down? Wearing Hudsucker. You get it, buddy? Say, buddy.
I'm a big fan of the Coen brothers, which, I mean, everyone is. I've only seen 7 of their films, and let's see if I can even name them offhand. There's Hudsucker, there's Fargo, there's The Big Lebowski. Give me a minute. True Grit. No Country for Old Men. Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou? And Burn After Reading. So I've seen 7. And I would actually say, I think Hudsucker is my 4th favorite out of all those. Fargo was number 1. And Big Lebowski and No Country for Old Men pretty much sometimes fight for the 2 and 3 space. I've seen Lebowski way more, but I feel like No Country is a much better film. But Hudsucker is so underrated. It's with the Coens, and also they got some script work, I believe, from Sam Raimi. So there's a lot of like corniness and wackiness to this. I don't know if it's everyone's thing for the Coen Brothers library, but I love this little film.
Ladies and gentlemen, please step to the rear. Here comes a gargantuan Mr. Greer.
Buzz?
Say, buddy, who's the most liquid businessman on the street? Wearing Hudsucker. Say, buddy, when is the sidewalk fully dressed? When it's wearing Hudsucker. You get it, buddy? It's a pun. It's a knee slapper. It's a play on Jesus, Joseph, and Mary. Is that a blue letter?
Like, check this out, Warner Archive, which you can only get through Amazon now because the Warner Archive site was just too expensive to run or something. But you can still get these only on Amazon now, but the Warner Archive collection in general is just pretty well worth your money. Alright, let's do TV shows now. Duckman is a cult classic. It's like genuinely one of the best television shows ever made that no one watched.
I'm Duckman, someone you never heard of, doing a show you've never seen on a night you're never home. Why the hell am I spending money on a commercial?
You're not paying, USA is paying.
And a fine network it is.
Well, because it was a show no one watched, on a network no one watched, it got 4 seasons. These sets are out of print. This is 1 and 2. I got 3 and 4 over there, but the cover's a little bit naughty, so let's just not risk a TOS. You can get a whole set now. That's the whole series. So I would pick that up because it's also pretty cheap. Blu-ray.com seems to think a Blu-ray is going to happen one day. I don't know if that's true. If it is, then I'm going to buy that too.
How can one person be so oblivious, insensitive, hateful, tactless, boorish, and ill-tempered to everyone he meets?
It's a gift? Okay, so I've had an off day or 2.
You know a show is good when you say, oh, I get to buy it a 3rd time.
Sure. You're me. Who are you? I'm you, 18 years ago. I was about to get married when I suddenly found myself here. So I guess you know my future, right? I mean, how often do you get a chance like this? There are some things I gotta know. For instance, my marriage. Am I doing the right thing marrying Beatrice? Do we grow old together? You're gonna love her until the day you die. Maybe I don't need to know any more than that.
I have some Nickelodeon shows, like a lot of the Shout Factory ones. Greatest American Hero, like classic old 80s show. If you remember the heyday of Channel Awesome, it's the theme song that Brad Jones stole for early Cinema Snob until he literally got a cease and desist. And considering he did just play the entire theme song, not just like a snippet of it, the entire thing, I kind of understand that, to be honest. Wasn't the only show he did that for either, but oh, whatever, I'm gonna stop talking now.
What are you looking for?
The sandwiches, Ralph, the Cokes. I don't see them.
That's because they're not there. Pam made them, but I just, well, I didn't have a chance to get over there and pick them up.
Sometimes I don't believe you or the counselor. If Patton forgot the chow, it could have been Rommel's War. You know that?
Is that the sports page? Let me see who won the game. The obituaries?
Yeah, it's important stuff. I got to keep track of who's, you know.
Dying?
It's definitely a cheesy show, but it's a really fun show. A show that's a bit smarter than you might give it credit for if you just give it a chance and watch it. How easy is it to find on DVD? Not sure. I have season 1 here, and I have every episode here, but this set has like no special features when the individual season sets did. But these are out of print, so I only made it as far as season 1. And I think the complete series one is even out of print too. There's another complete series set out now. Don't know if it brought any of the special features back, so yeah, I'm just doing what I'm doing. Alright, we can talk Criterions for a little bit here. I went in a circle like a dog chasing its tail. We can talk about Criterions for a second here. I won't go too in depth with them because, you know, I have that other show on the main channel. But let's just talk about some ones. I don't really know where else I would talk about them because it'd be really hard to find a spot for them in like a, you know, I talk about 4 at a time, so I need a theme. And, yeah. You try finding a theme for this one. Beastie Boys Anthology.
Hey, Bender gonna make some noise with your hard drive scratched by the Beastie Boys.
I watched it, and I'm sitting there going, I really love the artistry of these. And then I also learned, not the hugest fan of the Beastie Boys, it turns out. I didn't hate any of the music or anything, but I didn't really get into it, like music-wise. There were a couple that were pretty good, so that helped. Mostly this is one of those 3 out of 5 situations, but I am glad I bought this. And yeah, this is a DVD if you couldn't figure out. There's some times where Criterion still releases stuff only on DVD. There's no Blu-ray set for this, which is a shame because they probably could have cut it down to 1 Blu-ray. And as I found out looking it up, the special features are different camera angles. They got alternative shots and put them on the DVD. That's incredible. Like, that's a weird thing I wouldn't expect in a special feature, even from Criterion. These people go above and beyond in ways you might not even expect when you're used to them. So again, a couple of these I've talked about already. I talked about Fantastic Mr. Fox on the main channel, Fantastic Planet on the main channel. In the other video that's about to come out, I've talked about Hedwig and the Angry Itch, Throne of Blood, and also in a previous one I talked about Humanity and Silence of the Lambs, stuff like that. So here's one. Again, where the hell else would I talk about this? Female Trouble.
Those are your new shoes, Dawn.
Those aren't the right kind. I told you cha-cha heel black ones. Nice girls don't wear cha-cha heels. Give me those presents. I'll never wear those ugly shoes. I told you the kind I wanted. You ruined my present.
This is a Johnny Waters film. There is another John Waters film coming to Criterion soon, which is Pink Flamingos. Maybe if I can find 2 others, that's where I'll talk about it. Female Trouble is weird. It's disgusting, it's vulgar, it's shockingly intelligent for what it is, it's really funny, you can't look away. Like, I watched one John Waters film, and now I get it. Now I get why people are like, John Waters, complete genius. I saw enough naked fat people to go, this man knows what he's doing. So I guess let's brag about a Criterion I have. I have the Harold and Maude set that's out of print now. And if you know the front cover of Harold and Maude, yeah, I'm not showing that on this website.
Absolutely yes. Do you remember jokes and take pleasure in relating them to others? Now, you don't do that, do you, Harold? No, absolutely no.
It's a very quirkily dark movie. There's bits that are actually surprisingly uplifting, and the film itself is just incredibly funny, just all throughout. With one exception, all the times it decides to be like genuinely really thought-provoking and heartwarming. I hear Wes Anderson got a lot of what he learned from this kind of movie, well, this one specifically, and all I've seen from Wes Anderson is the aforementioned Fantastic Mr. Fox. I'm willing to believe that, because this gave me a lot of the same feelings I got from Fantastic Mr. Fox in terms of humor style and character quirks. It's such a good movie, and again, with the Criterion being out of print, the only thing you're missing, you know, is the booklet, which, before you're wondering, you didn't get a booklet? I did. I actually keep the booklets separate, just because I don't really like having to fight the booklet to get to the disc. I know that doesn't happen, but just bear with me. But yeah, no, I think that, you know, whoever owns the rights to this film did release their own Blu-ray, or maybe even a 4K or something. I doubt it was a 4K. So I think you can still get the movie, so go find the movie, because this is great. It's a shame it's not in the collection anymore, because no one releases a Blu-ray, or even just a DVD, like the Criterion collection does. So I would track that version down. Used video stores still exist. Used video stores are fantastic, and they're always all local. Go to those, for gosh sakes. They might not be around in the next 10 years. They probably will be, but not as strong as they are now. I'm going to leave you on one 4K film. I've got a couple. I've got the Predator set. I've got Misery. I have a couple of nature documentaries, because if you want something in 4K, it should be nature documentaries. Nothing looks as good as those do. But I've got a special one to show off. It ain't the Back to the Future set that I do have. It ain't the Dark Knight set, which I do have. It ain't even Beastmaster, which I do have. Hey, Beastmaster's on, but not on this show. It's, it starts with an S. Oh, it's Spider-Man. It does start with SP. Oh, it's Spider-Man 2. It's Spider-Man 3. He's lying. He's joking. It's Amazing Spider-Man. It's Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Only that last film do I have on 4K. I do have Spider-Verse on 4K. I don't have the others. I bought those before 4K. I had 4K capabilities. It's a steelbook of the animation live-action hybrid classic. Space Jam is not half as bad as I thought it was going to be when I rewatched it. I know. The only good if you grew up on it starter pack. I get it. Would I still like this film if I didn't grow up on it? I don't know. Because it's kind of self-aware enough that I enjoyed what it was making fun of itself for. That it was still trying to be a real movie in an enjoyable way. The animation's not half bad, especially the 4K. Like, the 4K print's actually really not bad for this film. But I find, for a sports star turned actor, Michael Jordan knew what he was doing well enough. I think while the Looney Tunes do feel watered down, they're not awful. They can actually be funny, like occasionally. The entire whole time, I don't know about that, but at least they can be funny. And there's some bits that I still think are really good. Like, the soundtrack is still fantastic. The montages that we get of the other basketball superstars who lose their talent and see them live their day-to-day life as losers, as talentless losers, is really funny and also works pretty well. Go on HBO Max right now and check out Original Space Jam. Space Jam 2 is on there too, but I don't have that on 4K, so I'm not going to pretend I cared that much about it. I didn't hate that one, but I actually kind of unironically enjoyed the Space Jam 1. So, would it have been less embarrassing if I instead dedicated this segment to Beastmaster? Genuinely.